All right, we are live. This is episode number 23 of the Deconstruction Podcast, and we have a special guest today. We have Arnie Gess. He is the owner of constructionlinks.ca. This is one of the, if not the most popular construction news sites in the world, I would say. Arnie, welcome to the pod. How's it going?
Oh, great, thanks. And it's great to be on the podcast with you guys. Thanks.
How's that for an introduction, Arnie?
Well, look,
I don't
so
know about
first,
the world, but maybe Canada.
come on, you got to go big, Arnie. We got to go big here.
Okay.
You're being modest, Arnie.
First things first, though, this podcast is brought to you by Jobtable, the simplest way to grow and manage your construction company. We always like to kick it off here with one of our latest reviews. So this is from Frame Art Construction. It's a renovation, drywall, and framing company. Great and easy to use program, makes managing and quoting of jobs much easier. Definitely worth the cost. Short and sweet there, but shout out to Frame Art Construction. We appreciate the review.
Short and sweet. I love those ones.
All right, so we're going to kick it off here. We got a few really good topics today, really marketing focused, because Arnie, that's your wheelhouse. If you don't mind, kick things off, just introduce yourself briefly, tell us a bit about what you're doing and Construction Links.
All right. Well, Construction Links Network is what the platform is called, and it's constructionlinks.ca. It's been around since 2003. I bought it in 2016. And totally gutted it and rebuilt it, and kind of heard the word at that time was content creation. Everyone was just starting to really do it at that time. Blogs and videos and podcasts and all that sort of thing. And it came into my mind that I should start up a content sharing platform. And to this day, I don't know if anyone else is really doing it that I can find in the world the way I do it. So I have members join like you guys have, and thank you very much. And you get to share a link to either a latest blog or ebook or white paper, podcast, up to once a week, and I publish it in my on my website. And I put it in my newsletter for that week and send it out on social media. It's pretty a simple concept, just to get more eyes on your content. Basically, is what it's all about. So, and typical publishers like they do have the ads, and I have all that stuff too. But I think for SEO and all that stuff nowadays, it's really important to be doing content creation and getting backlinks and all that sort of things. So
Absolutely, yeah. So, sorry, you said 2016 you bought it?
that's when I bought it, yes. So,
Okay, nice. So yeah, a lot has changed obviously from then to today in terms of, SEO, algorithms, content. So what would you say is the biggest evolution since that time, specifically with marketing in the construction industry or just in general over the last 10 years?
well, I think even just in the last couple of years, you're seeing more and more people, more and more podcasts in the industry now. It's amazing, right? And uh, that's what I really notice is the podcast and the video creation is like all the technology out there now. Like this wasn't even around 2 years ago what it is now, right? Like it's getting easier and easier to do. And then you see things like platforms like LinkedIn, like is really everyone kind of goes to LinkedIn now too, right? And posting and sharing all their articles or writing articles on there, putting videos on there, and
Yeah,
it's just
it,
kind of
it's
amazing.
It's funny, like there's so many different avenues now. I don't think there's necessarily like a right or wrong way. I think a lot of these, even what I call like old school or legacy marketing channels like SEO or LinkedIn and whatever it is, they're still relevant. They still could work if kind of utilized correctly and like just kind of go all in on them and really like figure those channels out. But yeah, would you say that the shift has really move towards just content creation in general?
I think so. More and more people contact me. I get contacted pretty well every day, right? There's lots of companies starting out, and I also get contacted by SEO companies all over the world. They want to, share an article for one of their clients, right, that they write for, and stuff like that. So they all know the importance of the backlink and all that sort of thing. So even though it takes one at a time, you got to just keep going, soldiering on all the time. So it's not, with my platform, it's not post one, share one article with me and I put it in your newsletter, then in my newsletter, and then they expect to make $1 million sale or something, right? And get 10,000 people coming to their website. It doesn't work like that. I set up a Google content sharing sheet, and they just drop their links in there once a week. So every week they're just consistent, and that's the most important thing for my members. And then when every time it goes on my platform, I put it out on my social media followers, which I have about 18,000 now total, with all
Nice.
X, I guess, and Facebook, not so many. Instagram and LinkedIn is the most for me. But the most important thing is, and people should reshare it and all that stuff. So
When somebody contacts you, do they typically provide you with the content, or do you
they
create the content,
they-
or a bit of both?
no, they write the content, and I publish part of it on my website, and then link it back to the client's website to keep reading, and that's what people like about it. So I send the message out through my newsletter, and then they come to my website to read it, and then they have to go to the client's website to continue reading it.
Yeah.
So you're giving them like a little bit of a teaser.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good way to network.
Yeah, and this is what I think works best, but maybe someday I'll be proven wrong too. I don't
Just
know.
out of curiosity, how did you get into marketing? Like, what's the backstory to that?
I've always kind of been a marketer. I started up trade magazines way before you guys were probably even born. And in the late 80s, I had a publishing company in Toronto, and we had two, well, they're the physical magazines in those days. One was for hazmat, so hazardous materials management, and another one was for solid waste and recycling. And my partners and I had that for 10 years, and then we sold to Conrad Black's company, actually, Southam, or Business Information Group, they're called now. I think they're still called that. But so they bought us out in 1999, and those magazines are no more, they're not physical magazines anymore, they're just digital. Because we could see the writing on the wall even at that time, what was happening. And the cost of print and mailing all the copies is very, very expensive. I still get a few in my mailbox from old industry friends that I used to publish in especially the waste management industry. There's still a few American pubs out there, but right now there's not going to be too many around. Just like a newspaper, I haven't picked up a physical newspaper in years, right? So
Well, that's the beauty of like the times we're living in now. It's like everything is like just
it's
so
on your
accessible
phone. There's a little
and
app,
easy.
right?
Yeah, but whether you want to publish your own book, whether you want to create a podcast, you want to do a vlog, like everything is so accessible and easy to do, and there's platforms to do it, right?
And it's even easier with AI now, right? Like,
Yeah.
like just to even get the blog started, right? Just get some ideas rolling, and then you can edit it from there. And I use AI actually for all my social media posts and everything. I have my own chat GPT that I created about 10 months ago now. So his name is BuilderBot. I asked him what his name was just this week, and he says, I don't have one. So I said, your name's BuilderBot. And I told him my name, so all day he answered me and he said my name. Then the next day he wasn't saying my name. I said, "Did you forget my name?" "I can't recall."
How much time has AI saved you?
Well, it's kind of like the editor I always wanted, right? Or the social media manager. Like for me, I do probably 6 to 8 social media posts a day, like sharing my clients' content. But
Yeah.
for me to just have the AI just create, and I asked to put the emojis in and everything, and it's really good. It just about every time. I have to edit a little bit, but it's a big time saver for sure.
Yeah, I love it. It's if anyone's not using ChatGPT or any one of these other AI's platforms,
And it gives me really good ideas for marketing as well, like updating my media kit and writing or just having a meeting, Zoom meeting with somebody, and then I like to follow up with an email. So I kind of craft up the email with my own words, but then I ask AI just to tidy it up a bit, and it just sounds way more professional, right?
One of the most impressive things about AI to me, and Kosta, we've talked about this, is how the more you use it and the more it knows about you, the more it can tailor things to you, to your needs. Right? Like for example, if it knows a lot about Jobtable and we're trying to write some kind of marketing email, it already understands the way the software is, what it does, who we cater to, the benefits. So it's able to kind of understand that right off the bat and craft a very specific email rather than just kind of throwing anything out there, right? Which I find scary but fascinating at the same time.
That's why I'd highly recommend, like I pay the $20 a month, and then I created my own chat GPT. So I'm the only person that uses it. So it's exclusive to me, but after 10 months, like it knows my business well, right? Like, especially like if I'm trying to come up with a new marketing concept or give me some ideas and how I can make a few more sales or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or to help clients or attract more clients, and he, I call him a he, but I don't know, it just comes up with these amazing ideas. You should try this, you should try that, and it's
How did you how did you do that? You pay for ChatGPT and then you ask ChatGPT to create another
yeah,
AI
I
separate.
think I just looked on YouTube and there was something there about creating your own chat GPT, and I
yeah, you
just
can
followed
basically
that.
create your own what's called a GPT. So you can like kind of get it whether it's like your own like health consultant or your own like marketing manager and like feed
Yeah.
it like you want it to do this specific thing, and then like that's all it does.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
mine's called the Construction Links Network Content Creator. That's what I
Yeah.
set it out as, and
And then you train it, right? Over time to really understand what it is you're
Exactly.
trying to achieve and what your goals are.
yeah, and it just kind of trains itself. You're not really giving it instructions, right? But really
Oh, but
gets
you're
to know you.
I would say you're just feeding it information tailored to, you know, exactly what you're trying to make it do for you, correct?
Yeah, well, this has had all of my clients' blogs in there to uh, make a social media post out of them or whatever, right? So it knows the industry very well now. So, and it hasn't had any other industry in there, so it's
Yeah.
kind of probably the best one I would say in Canada just for construction industry.
Totally.
Within a year, it'll probably own half the company somehow.
Maybe they can
That's
have
Don't
it.
possible.
sign over your shares. Don't sign over your shares to it, okay, Arnie?
If it wants to
Maybe-
take over the workload, that's fine with me.
I was gonna say it might be worth the 50%.
I asked it. I actually asked it this week. Is there any way you can do the social media posts for me? And it said no, not at this time,
Not yet. Not yet.
for privacy reasons. That's what it said.
Yeah. So look, I want listeners to come away with some practical insights, as much as possible. So with that, on construction links, what type of content is performing the best that you would say? Anything you're noticing?
There's such a wide variety of topics, and like I got a few safety companies, Key Safety and Canada and Dentech Safety. They do lots of blogging and content creation, and Key Safety's more up on the roof, right, with the anchors and safety belts and stuff. And Dentech, they do like during COVID, they were really big with the masks at that time, and they sold a ton of those. But they do gloves and everything, safety vests and everything. So it just depends. And then I have a lot of construction technology clients too, like you guys. So Procore has been my customer that really kind of kickstarted my business when I first kind of met them before COVID at the building show in Toronto. And they jumped on board right away. And I don't know how many people are in their marketing department, maybe 100, but they have massive content creation, right? But they're also on the New York Stock Exchange too, and probably the largest construction technology company out there in the world, right? So
yeah,
it's important to be out there in the forefront doing, podcasts and ebooks and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. So you said safety and construction tech. You would say those two get the most traction, clicks.
Yeah,
in general?
PCL Construction and Graham Construction have been my clients for quite a long time. So they like to talk about their construction projects, right, or do some of their initiatives with their clients and stuff like that, or helping out the industry or their charity work and that sort of thing. And that kind of gets a good bang for their buck too, right? So because people like those good news stories, right?
For a company like PCL, like they obviously don't need the marketing, right? They're huge. What do you think unless I'm wrong, but what do you think the reason is for like the need to get their name out there? It's just to kind of like stay in people's faces.
Well, they're out there, and I was really happy when I got them on board, to be honest with you, because they're a huge company, and obviously they're going to survive without being on Construction Links, but they see that there's a value there too, right? So I work with their PR department mainly. I still would like them to share more of their blogs and stuff, but right now they're happy just to share their news releases, which they run quite often with me, and just want them in my newsletter and that sort of thing too. So,
and it's good to stay relevant, no matter how big a company is or how small they are. It's good to stay relevant, right? Just to let, I guess, everybody know what they are doing, like you said, charity work or any type of projects that are going on, no matter how big or small. I definitely see that being very, very useful to them, right?
Oh,
and getting back to probably, Arnie, you probably have one of the biggest ones in the world, I would say then. I know you were being modest earlier, but
yeah, I mean PCL is huge, yeah.
In Canada, I'm happy with Canada right now.
That's a good point, though, John.
Due to the tariffs and everything, and all the rhetoric that was coming out of Washington just over the last couple of weeks, in my branding of my weekly newsletter, I started putting a Canadian flag in there too, because I'm really finding the people I'm talking to now are really want to work. The Canadian people really want to support Canada as much as possible, like even sourcing materials to work, and as much as you can, right? And unfortunately, it's like this right now, and hopefully it'll die down and we'll all become friends again. But that's the way the world is right now. So
yeah, hopefully cooler heads prevail. I mean, we have so much to offer, as do they.
Yeah, exactly, and it seemed to be working okay in my opinion, but there's the opinion of the chief down there that it needs to be changed. So
yeah, I think it's a complicated issue, right? Like I read an article, that most people haven't even heard of, but I mean, if you look at the tariffs we've been imposing on them for the last 4 or 5 years, there's some pretty extreme tariffs that we've done to them, and there's not an ounce of that you hear on the news, right? So I think there's always two sides to every story. So obviously it's very easy to point and blame somebody to say like, yeah, like he thinks he's in charge and he's bullying everybody. But again, you got to take it at face value and really kind of do your own digging. But at the end of the day, like I said, no matter where you land, we all want the same thing, right? We don't, we want to work together. We both have so much to offer. So, like I said, hopefully cooler heads prevail, and I'm sure they will, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah. Like American Contech, they have a lot of to offer Canadian construction companies as well, right? All the little niche products and all that sort of thing right now. And it's not just from all over the world too, right? It's important that we all work globally, I think, rather than be isolated.
Well, you know what, Arnie, if I could say something, your platform is obviously amazing in times like this, especially because, like you said, a lot of Canadians are trying to kind of group together, to get through this, and a platform like yours allows people, right, to kind of go on there, see how they're sourcing material, right? So I can see how that's very useful. Obviously, it's always useful, but in times like this as well. Are you noticing like a big spike in like Canadian content, like a lot more people coming to you due to certain articles that are like, oh, we're sourcing this type of material from Canada over here? Or are you tracking down more content like that to get on there? Because I can see how something like that would be very useful for somebody to navigate, especially like the smaller companies that don't know what to do, right? Like we've been talking about this since it was originally like put out in the news, what this can mean for Canada, right? Us too, like in the construction, like being in construction, like we're getting these newsletters from suppliers, manufacturers every day, right? And it is scary, right? It is like no matter how you want to look at this, it just affects the end user, right? So as Canadians, we're trying to figure out how to navigate this, and like you said, how can we source Canadian materials? How can we source Canadian products to basically work around this, right? And I can see how a platform like yours would be extremely beneficial for people to go there and just get some content and be guided in the right direction.
Well, since I share content, I have to rely on my clients to be writing that kind of stuff. But you working in the field day in, day out, you probably hear more about and worry about that kind of stuff, or concerned, maybe not worry, but concerned and looking for new suppliers, Canadian suppliers, if possible, right? Because it affects your business, right? So that's really people in the field. I know today I just published from the Canadian Construction Association. They're doing a big campaign, Construction for Canadians campaign, and you can see that on my website. The latest article that was published. So they're doing a big campaign to really push the during the election, all the parties to really invest into Canadian, not just tech, but suppliers, and start spending a bunch of money on infrastructure projects, right? Start planning for all that, and use as much Canadian companies to do the building, as well as the materials, buying materials from Canadians. And
which at the same time we got to ask ourselves.
Associations, or 57 or 59 associations jumped on board of that. They announced.
We should be doing that regardless, right?
That's what I'm
this
saying.
Might be a push in the right direction, if anything, to set a standard.
We gotta all like kind of shake our heads and wonder why, as what, the second biggest landmass on earth, like country, you know what I mean? Like how did we get to this point, right? Where we just rely on everybody else instead of manufacturing it ourselves, right? Like we have everything here as well, right? So I think this is a very big eye opener for just everybody, right? Like in Canada in general, just to kind of ask, like, why are we doing, like, how did we get to this point, right? Because the reality is, if you're so dependent,
jump on politicians or anything, or I just think we've we've had a lost decade. I really do. On building the infrastructure that we need to be competitive. Sure, we struck a deal. We had NAFTA, then the revised one with Trump and Trudeau in Mexico. What year was that? Like 2018 or 16 or whatever. That you can't just rely on that, and that's kind of what we did, right? Oh, we got this deal with North America, and that's it, right? So.
Yeah. I have a question related to this about these uncertain times, the economy and stuff. Because I think you might have a unique insight on like the flow of capital and stuff. So have you noticed any recent changes, like due to the tariffs, inflation, like all this stuff happening? Has that stuff impacted construction marketing budgets? Like, are you noticing your clients like pulling back, doubling down? Like what are you sensing on the marketing spend side?
Well, I've been in the media business for a long time and putting on trade shows in my career. And every time there's a recession or the housing crisis, when was that? 2008, all that kind of stuff. It's one of the first things that when big companies are looking where they can cut is the marketing, right? So, however, there's theories that people or companies that spend more during these times, at the end of the day, they'll be further ahead, right? So,
Yeah. Are you noticing anything though, or have you
I haven't
been
yet,
consistent, or
I
have you
haven't
noticed?
yet because it's still early. So,
Yeah.
uh, but I'm sure people are going to be cutting back. So, like I'm a media partner with ConAg. It's North America's largest trade show, and it's in Vegas every 3 years, and it's put on by the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. So this show in Las Vegas is just huge, takes up all outdoor space with cranes and bulldozers, all the indoor space at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And I was looking at their website this week, and they're completely sold out already. And they have a sign on there like join the waiting list, right? So you're talking like 2,200 exhibitors, huge booths. I'm not even sure how many square feet that would be. But in my mind, I was thinking, well, maybe some of the countries that are going to be having tariffs and they don't manufacture in the States, like a big company I'm thinking of is like Volvo Construction Equipment, Swedish, right? Would they maybe not want to have a big presence at the show in Las Vegas if their equipment's going to cost 25% more than their competitors, American competitors? See, that kind of makes people think that way, right? So,
On the flip side, though, what you're seeing is a lot of companies like that actually now setting up shop in the U.S.
and probably Volvo does, I don't know, but that's just an example. But if it's
Yeah.
a fairly new manufacturer, either in Europe or Asia or somewhere, or Brazil, and they wanted to get into the American market, but if they're going to have a 25% tariff, it's going to be hard to sell
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
equipment,
there
right?
might
It
be.
makes sense for a lot of companies that are already selling into the U.S. but don't manufacture here. Now you're seeing a lot of those companies now moving manufacturing to the U.S.
Well, that's what President Trump wants to do,
And
right?
that's, yeah, it's seems to be
And we'll
pretty
see.
effective.
Well, it's not overnight where you can just buy a chunk of land and build a factory to build
Of
a
course, yeah,
bulldozer, right? But
of course.
it
Yeah,
takes
but at the
many
same time, when you
years.
have like some companies investing, committing like hundreds of billions of dollars like that, even though it's not set up yet, that's still going to create a lot of jobs and
Making the announcements, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
and then that'll be good if they do that. That's good for the construction industry down there too, to
for
build
sure.
those factories and buildings and that sort
Yeah,
of thing too, right? So,
yeah. So I want to talk about as well marketing now. I think it's very like, or content rather, it could be very noisy in the sense that you're just getting bombarded with content everywhere you look. You're on your phone, you're scrolling, like you're just getting inundated with all kinds of stuff. So what makes a construction brand or company stand out and gain trust in a noisy space? Like, what would you say?
Well, I know for me, for being a publisher, I know there's other construction publishing companies in Canada and the United States, and we all compete in a way to get someone's attention, right? But I think the most important thing is to be consistent, like, and send out your newsletter or magazine or whatever at the same time, if it's a daily every day or every week at the same time, and not be hit and miss, like 8 a.m. one day and 2 p.m. the next day, right? Just
I want to
little
double
things like
click
that.
on that for a second because that's something you always hear, right? Like being consistent, same week, same time. What's the consequence of not doing that? Like, why is that so important? Is it like a psychological, factor, or like what actually is it? Why is that important?
For me, it shows consistency because, well, I subscribe to lots of competitor newsletters as well, and I can
Yeah,
tell if they're late. I know, hey, you're late by 10 minutes. No,
yeah,
I'm just kidding. But by a few hours or whatever. But for me, I just think it's important because my clients are dependent on me to get because I do content sharing to get their message out. And they sign up and pay me money, and I made a commitment to get their message out on time every week, and that's what I do. So that's
yeah,
important to me because I'm a real straight shooter that way. I
yeah.
like
No,
to, and I also show my you know what they get in return. I show them how many clicks and impressions they get and that sort of thing. I provide them with links so they can track it in real time, my clients, right? So
yeah. What I'm trying to get at, though, I totally agree. I get that completely. I'm thinking of it more on like dollars and cents, like on actually marketing ROI point of view. Like, is sending out a new, let's say, let's use Jobtable as an example, right? We have a huge database of emails. We have our own newsletter. So would a newsletter perform better, like actual like ROI conversions on the newsletter perform better if I send that newsletter at the same time every week compared to like, one week here is a different time? Like, are there actual like tangible quantitative benefits to it?
well, since you're uh, a company newsletter, it might not get as noticeable unless you did it. I don't know how often you do yours. I'm sorry. Cost you to be ignorant on that part, but do you do it every week or?
So yeah, like full transparency, we do it probably once or twice. It's not consistent, is what I'm getting at, and I'm just
So if you do, like you said, once or twice, why don't you? I would recommend you just do it once then, rather than spending the time to do the second, or do it once every 2 weeks if you're finding to be overburdened. That's what I would do, right? Because I know it takes a lot of work to do that too. So, and as far as ROI, and probably everyone's biggest competitors in the media world is Google and Facebook. You know, they control the whole. They get in like billions and billions of dollars for advertising. They're the biggest media companies in the world, right? So all us little guys, that's who we have to compete against, those giants, right? And obviously, it's like super cool technology where you can just type in something on the internet and your name pops up first, or your company, right? But you pay for that, right? But that's very important for companies, and that's how they can tell ROI, right? So, but there still has to be some budget, I think, for doing some content creation, maybe doing your own newsletter as well, doing things like with me, construction links, being a member of that. It's not like I'm asking your whole budget. I just want a little chunk of it, right? So, because I think
yeah.
I can help you get the word out. So
Yeah.
Most of
So I'm also, a lot of listeners to this podcast are, you know, everyday contractors, small, medium-sized companies, different sub trades. So what would you say to those, that's group, that segment? Like for those guys without a big budget, what's the lowest effort, highest return strategy you would
well, I
suggest?
think if you're doing like targeting, if you're a plumber in Mississauga, I think you're smart to be doing like either a Google ad or a Facebook ad that you can just target that area, right? There's no use, you know, jumping on board with me where I have a national audience, right? You have limited dollars, and I think that's the best way to spend your dollar. I really do.
How do you usually work with companies? If somebody comes to you, how do you kind of strategize, to work within their budget and come up with the best marketing game plan for
I have
them?
different packages, and I want to make sure that they're even going to be compatible with me. Like some customers, when they meet with me, and I see that they've never blogged before or anything, right? Like they're not really for me. They wouldn't get value out of it because that's the whole concept of my website, is for people to be regular content creators, and so I can share it out. But if they're like just looking to, I don't know, do a banner ad or something, I don't think they'd be compatible. So I tell them straight up front that they're probably not, it probably won't work for them to be with me until they start doing some of that more on the content creation side. So
And how much value do you think that has to be even a plumbing company or an electrical company to be consistently blogging and just kind of putting content out there? How much impact do you
well, I
think
know
that has?
a lot of the contractors uh, that have decent websites, and they've invested quite a bit, but they also hire these SEO marketing uh, agencies, and they can be located anywhere in the world. There's quite a few of them in Eastern Europe, actually. And they get these companies to write articles for them, and then they pay to go on to different websites. So I get contacted quite a bit by companies like that as well, right? But they will write, for instance, this week there was a plumbing company in Toronto, and their agency contacted me, and they had an article, which is a very good article, and they paid me to put it on my website, and all they want is the one link back to their client's website, which is the plumbing company in Toronto. That's all they want, is the backlink, and that it stays on my website because it's very well written, so people will be able to find it too, right? Just through search engines, right?
I was going to ask that as well. So, like, would you say the I know there's lots of value that a company would get by publishing their content on your website, but would you say the primary value, is it the actual traffic to your client's website, or is it the backlink for SEO purposes?
I think it's the backlink, to be honest. That's what people like, but of course you can't just have one backlink going to your website. You got to do it on a regular basis and create a lot of content, right? So, and I do another thing. Every week I send out a press release. I use a service, and it goes to all of North America media, and I get a report after. Like, it's kind of cool to see your press release on like Fox News in Wichita, Kansas or something, and on their website, right? But then that's backlinks back to my website too, and that's the only reason I do it. I don't think I can ever remember someone on, hey, I saw your article on Fox News, right, in Wichita.
I was asking that question just because it makes me think of me and Johnny when we started the company 15 years ago. And other than maybe a few $100s spent on, Google marketing, SEO, whatever, our company was built on 99% word of mouth, right? So I think it's like really important for the listeners today, like listening to this and you speak, that they understand how much times have changed. Where I feel like if I was starting a business today, the approach would be completely different, right? Like the importance of like blogging and having an online presence, and like you said, like just creating those backdoors to your website. Because the reality of it is, somebody wants a plumber, they're going to Google, nearest plumber, how fast can you get to my house? Like you want to be that name at the very top, right? So that's kind of why I was asking that, because I truly think like me and Johnny are very old school in that way, and like there's a lot of guys now that are starting businesses that are still exactly like us, and they still don't get that concept, right? And I think that it's detrimental to them because they're kind of starting way behind in the race compared to their
And
competition.
testimonials is a really another great way to build your business too, and just even having that on your website. And I know I'm guilty of that. I should be doing more of that, and that's something that I want to do, but I haven't had time to do that. But is to get some testimonials from my clients, right?
Yeah.
And video testimonials probably the best, I would think. But that's really important to try and take the time to arrange with your client to give you a good testimonial and make that, because that's what people really look at as well, right? So,
And I think it's important too to not get overwhelmed. Like there's so many points, like so many buttons that need to be pushed in order to get the ball rolling, but not to get discouraged in the sense that, if you just focus on one, you're still going to get a lot of benefit out of it, right? And then over time you kind of you put that on cruise control, and then you start to add something else to your repertoire and just keep building on it, right?
yeah, if you take on too many tasks, or you think, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, you don't get anything done. So just concentrate on one thing at a time. If you want to write a blog this week, do it. If you want to send out a newsletter next week, just do that. If you wanted to create a video the week after, and not even, some people can't find the time to do it that often, but even if you do something once a month, just to start, right? But I think the main thing is to start and be consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? Every week
Exactly.
tackle something else, because I feel in the marketing world, especially for like newer companies, and we talk to them all the time, and we're always trying to guide them in the right direction. But I feel a lot of people get lost in the marketing. Like Charlie said, when we started, SEOing was very different, right? SEOing at that time was, you paid somebody, and they did what they did on the back end, and within 4 weeks, you were ranking high on Google, right? Where when they've changed it all now, I can see a lot of people getting lost, right? And let's be honest too, when you start marketing with Google and Facebook and Meta and all these other platforms, it could tend to get very expensive, and you can burn through a lot of money if you don't have a consistent go at it, right? And truthfully, you should have some type of game plan, right? Like you said, like don't think that you got to do it all at once. Start, try something out, be consistent at it, see what type of return you're getting, right? And then once you start seeing a return, maybe put that on cruise control and now start, exploring other avenues, right? That's what I get from a lot of the guys that I talk to, and a lot of marketing guys as well, because I find that there are so many platforms out there, and predominantly like we said, like Meta and Google, and you can burn through a lot of cash like very quickly, and especially when you're a startup, right? Like when you're a new company just opening up, money is very valuable, right? Like your cash flow is very important, right? So the key thing is to spend it in the right direction. And I like what you said for those newer companies, right? If you're a company in Mississauga, right, don't worry about marketing everywhere, right? Like start with Google. You know what I mean? Start with Facebook, right? Market within your area, right? And then build from there, right?
And if you're B2B, like a young new company in the B2B space, like if you're working in Mississauga, you might want to like join one of the local associations, right? Or Chamber of Commerce or something like that, and that's a great way, and start going to the meetings that doesn't cost you much, just your membership. And maybe you could volunteer on some committees. You can meet people that way. Like, there's really good things you can do to meet people and get the word spread about your business. Just doing things like that too, right? You don't have to buy a big 40 by 40 trade show booth at a upcoming trade show either, right? But if you start going to a local association, I don't know, Toronto Construction Association, for instance, and just start meeting people and join and going to some of their events and maybe sit on some of their committees, it's a great way to build your business at low cost.
Yeah, definitely.
So true. Like at the core of it, right? Marketing. It's like if you have to like describe it like in the simplest way, it's just like relationships. Just meet people every day. Meet like 5 people a day over a year. Like think about how many people that is that you've just met and like connected with, and like that, I guarantee will lead to so much business if you just do that consistently.
Yeah, like for me, I really try and work close with the associations and the trade show companies, right? So they're always after me to be a media sponsor of the trade shows, but all I ask for in return is I want my logo on their website with a link back, right? So I do that with trade shows all over the world. So, and they want to be is in my event section of my weekly newsletter, which doesn't cost me anything to do either, and I give them some exposure too, right?
Yeah.
Because people always like to know in the industry, they always like to know about events and all that sort of thing and conferences. Because a lot of them are interested in getting an opportunity to speak at a conference too and present at a conference or take part in a panel. That's another great way to build your business too, right? It doesn't really cost you anything. If you can contribute to a conference or something like that, that's a really good way to build your business as well. So
yeah, oh yeah.
So that's all sure. That stuff is classified as marketing.
Yeah. So I want to look into the future a little bit. Like, what do you've been in this game now over 10 years, call it. Like, what trends or shifts do you see? Like, I know we touched on like AI, obviously that's a massive one, but I don't know, any like forward thinking long-term trends or shifts that you see coming in the next couple years?
I think this AI is going to be changing everything that we don't even know about yet, and not just in marketing, just everything, right? That's what they say. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I don't know, that's a really hard question. You said you weren't going to ask me hard questions, Kosta.
Sorry, man, I had to throw one in there.
I don't know what the future's going to bring.
I thought you had the crystal ball, man. I was
No.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, that is a tough one. I mean, yeah, if I can just kind of contribute to the answering maybe my own question, just thinking about it, I guess really all you could do is not be caught with your pants down. Just like really utilize these tools. Like try chat GPTs, like, play around with the platforms, like, just be immerse yourself in it, because like, one thing we know for sure, I know we don't have the crystal ball, but one thing we know very objectively, this AI is not going anywhere. It's going to be like very impactful and influential in like our day-to-day lives. So at the least you could do is just like download the app and start messing around with it. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's something practical.
And same as promoting your business on social media. I think it's important to at least do it a couple times a week, like post something maybe of a job, like Johnny and Charlie, you guys own a plumbing company, maybe videotape one of your jobs or something. I don't know. It's just a thought, but.
You see a lot of that, right? There are a lot of guys that are
on Instagram, right? A lot of that stuff.
Yeah. You see tons.
And I think again, that's important to do. Some people do it all the time, but it's important to be consistent. If you can do it once a week, do it once a week. If you can do it two, do it two. If you can do it more, but just be consistent. Not post one this week and then 3 months later do it, right? So,
And I think that's the biggest complaint that I've heard from people that do it is that they'll start really strong and then it kind of fizzles out. And like the number one complaint is just like keeping the consistency up is very difficult to do. But like you said, I think if you kind of set reasonable goals rather than saying I'm going to post 2 videos every single day, and just start with one a week, one every couple of weeks, right? And then once you kind of get in that rhythm, then you kind of can start adding to that, right?
because it's really hard to see like the return on your time, right? And if there's any value coming back for your time to do that sort of thing. But these things take years and years. It's not over a few months, right? Unless you get really lucky and get a viral one going, but some do, but not too many.
Yeah.
That's just a problem that a lot of, I think, people just have is they want to get to the finish line without running the race. Like you expect, I'm going to throw out this content and it's just going to go viral, and it doesn't, and you get deflated and you're like, oh, this doesn't work. Like, what's next? Most people just don't give it a fair shake.
But I think that's human nature too. So.
It is. It totally is. Yeah. So Arnie, is there anything we didn't ask you that you wish we did?
I like that, Kosta.
That's a good framed question, Arnie. That's loaded.
I just want to say,
I'm giving the floor to you.
When I went to the Canadian Concrete Expo, a good friend of mine owns that business, Stuart Galloway, and I've known him for many years, and he has a real successful show. And probably the first day I had a booth this year, and Kosta was probably like one of the first people to come by my booth, first thing in the morning.
That's how we met.
So I was set already. See, for the show, paid for my trip.
And they're a perfect example of the importance of networking.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to everybody.
And Kosta and I hit it off right away.
He had some really good things to say about you, Arnie.
Well, good.
Yeah, no, that was it was meant to be.
That's the first time I've had a booth there. Usually I just walk the show. There's the second time I had a booth there, but first time in about 5 years. But I think I'm going to start doing that more often.
I was on a mission that morning. I went to go meet a couple people that I knew were there, and I just came across your booth. Attractive sign. I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was about
Construction
content.
Links Network is what it said.
Yeah, but I feel like there's another whole, like, share your content or
just like my website.
Yeah. So that's why I just like, hey, I got to speak to this guy here, and we hit it off, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Now I'm on the world famous podcast, and I'm excited. Thank you.
Well, you're a world famous business.
Hopefully after this. Maybe we'll go viral with this.
100%.
We'll chop up some viral clips. Don't worry.
But I really appreciate the time to talk to you guys.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. And if anyone wanted to learn more, connect with you, where's the best place they could do that?
Just go to my website. There's a contact form on there. Constructionlinks.ca is probably the best way to do it. So.
Constructionlinks.ca. We will.
And there's only one Arnie Gess in the whole world, as far as I know. You can look me up on LinkedIn or Google me. I haven't found any bad stuff about me yet, so unless it's really buried deep.
Very good. All right, Arnie. Real pleasure. Thanks again. I look forward to connecting again, and appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, you guys.
Pleasure,
Have a good weekend.
Thanks.
You too. Have a good one.
Thank you.